Hi. So this is the second online lecture in our series of how to prepare the various assignments that build for our literature review. So this installment is how to write a problem statement. This is another of the building block assignments that will lead into the introduction of the literature review. And our goal here is to describe the issue at hand. So what is a problem statement? It's a brief description of an issue that needs to be addressed and why it needs to be addressed. This is such a valuable tool for all of you to learn. Of course, me as a researcher and you all in choosing your projects, we go after what's interesting to us, what's fascinating to us, but we always, very often need to make a case for why it's important. Why should anyone else care about this? I have to do this all the time when I want to get funding to carry out my research. Many of you might need to justify it for getting a job, why you're relevant, why your work is relevant, why your expertise is relevant. How are you dealing with societal problems in your own unique way? An important aspect of this problem statement is that the problem should be identified and quantified. What is the problem? Why is this a problem? Why should anyone care about this? Why is it interesting? And the quantification is a really important part of this. This puts numbers that people can wrap their heads around. So how many acres? What's the environmental impact? Are there dollars involved? What's an amount of a loss of an ecosystem service? So, for example, $500 million per year are lost to a particular soybean disease. We're seeing, X loss of bumblebee populations from a given pesticide that's used on crops. 500 tons of nitrate are running into the Mississippi per year. I'm making up these numbers, but this is the kind of specificity that we want to include to make a powerful case for our topic. And then the other thing that's really important, as always, is to cite your sources. You need to convince any reader, including us, that you're not just making up this information. Of course, that you got it from a reliable source. So as we did with the topic paragraph, let us look at an example. We'll step through this and point out the ways that this is a powerful, good example of a problem statement. So pause this video now and take a moment to read through this. Now I'll point out to you some of the effective parts of this statement. The first thing is that the first sentence is a clear statement of the issue. It's specific, it's not overly dramatic, but it gets our attention. So nutrient pollution is an internationally significant water quality issue that causes algal blooms and hypoxic conditions that reduce the opportunity for recreational activities and harm ecosystem functions. It's a little bit on the wordy side. I might edit this a little bit if it were mine, but it's a clear, detailed statement of the issue. Next, we go into a little more detail. We're still qualitative, not quantitative at this point, but many different types of water bodies have the potential to be affected, including lakes, streams, rivers, and oceans. So here's a little more detail. And now what this writer is doing is moving into quantification. So 14 teragrams each year worldwide, and the amount of nitrogen 6 to 8-fold in some locations is what's flowing into the ocean. Then later down we have stormwater from urban areas on average has nutrient concentrations of 2.3 milligrams per liter total nitrogen and 0.39 milligrams per liter total phosphorus. So this is a very specific, detailed account of the scope of the issue. Then what this last paragraph is doing is then going into some more detail. So this is the issue. We know the scope. We know we've put some numbers to the size of this issue. But now let us give some more information. Land owners are at play. People have disparate ways of managing the systems. urban areas are a large part of this issue, and so here's some more description of why this is a problem. So now we're getting into the why, and the why should we care about this? Why is it a quandary that's been difficult and challenging? And then at the end here, just as we did with the topic paragraph, there's a statement of how this project will aid in giving a solution to this problem. So we see toward the bottom half, environmental education campaigns may help change behavior to improve these conditions, but first it is important to definitively know which land management practices will have the most positive impact. And so there's the call for understanding the literature. A comparison of these landscaping choices will help determine which are the most effective in reducing phosphorus and nitrogen runoff. And so, again, as I said, there's a clear statement of, why this literature review and looking at the overall results of the literature in this particular area are important and valuable to solving this big problem. And then here are the references for this. So reiterating again, there's consistent formatting, and they are all relevant to the issue at hand. And so with that, I'll remind you that in the literature review resources folder, we have, I believe, this model and more. We have the grading rubric and other information that will aid you in this assignment.